My name was Cressida Vale. I was 42, and I ran admissions at one of those private schools where parents smiled like their child's future depended on their teeth. What I told myself was that I did not sell places. I created belonging, of course, because belonging sounded cleaner than selection. The open house smelled of orange blossom hand soap and wet wool coats. I stood near the admissions office door with my navy folder pressed to my chest, watching parents step inside with careful voices and expensive shoes. I knew which mother wanted reassurance, which father wanted status, which child already understood that adults were afraid. 2 name badges. 1 silver tray of tea. No crisis yet. Samir arrived late with my flat shoes in a cotton bag and the throat lozenges I liked. My husband was 45, a pediatric physiotherapist, and he had that gentle way of moving through busy rooms as if every person might be carrying pain somewhere hidden. He told me my voice sounded tired. He said he had brought the tea from the place near his clinic because school tea tasted like paper. I told him he was kind. I made it sound smaller than it was. Years before, kindness had felt like being chosen. Every winter, Samir and I stayed one night at a cheap seaside hotel, the kind with bad carpets and good toast. We rated the lobby like critics and stole sugar packets for the drive home. Once, he left a note inside my admissions folder before a hard tour. It said that I could make locked doors feel polite. I kept it for 3 years. That evening, a white hotel keycard sleeve slipped from one of my old folders and landed by my shoe. Samir bent first to pick it up. He smiled when he saw the hotel name, but I saw the practical smile, not the memory. He asked softly what had changed between us lately. He said I seemed to come home from rooms before I came home to him. What he meant was that he missed me. What I heard was that I was failing a quiet test. I told him nothing had changed. Of course I did. Then Maribel appeared with 2 paper cups and asked if my steady husband had rescued me from my own schedule again. She laughed. I smiled. Samir looked at the keycard sleeve in his hand and folded it once before giving it back to me. That was private enough to pretend it meant nothing. The hotel bar at the Meridian Crown had lights that made every face look forgiven. That was why I trusted it. What I told myself was that public rooms made people behave better. Of course, I had spent my whole adult life proving that a good room could soften almost anything. 2 glasses. 1 old name on my phone. No crime yet. The donor event had started downstairs in the ballroom with linen-covered tables and orchids arranged too stiffly in glass bowls. I was there for the school, which meant I was not supposed to look bored, hungry, or human. Beatrice Lowe stood near the silent auction table, speaking to another donor about scholarships like she had invented generosity. Owen Price, the photographer, kept moving around us with his camera held low. Samir came after clinic hours. His collar was clean, but the tiredness sat around his eyes. He asked if I had eaten. He asked if I wanted him to get me water before I had to speak to the next family. He meant care. I heard maintenance. Rafael Ortega appeared near the bar during the 2nd hour. He was not supposed to matter. He had been my boyfriend before Samir, before marriage, before school calendars and winter coats, and sensible insurance. Now he consulted for boutique hotels and wore dark jackets that looked casual only because someone had paid for them to look that way. He said he had heard my admissions speech from the back of the room. He said I still knew how to make a room lean forward. That sentence went straight to the place Samir had not touched in years. I told Raphael he had not changed. He said I had, but not in the bad way. He looked over my shoulder while he said it, just long enough to see Samir speaking to a nervous father near the donor wall. Maribel arrived with a small plate of canapés and the smile she wore when life looked more interesting than her own apartment. She asked if that was the famous Raphael from before I became respectable. I told her not to be childish. She said old flames were only dangerous if someone still kept matches. I laughed too loudly. Samir looked over. Raphael asked if I wanted to see the renovated presidential suite later. He said it was work adjacent because the school had used the hotel before. He said the view might give me ideas for next year's gala. Nothing about his tone sounded urgent. That was part of the danger. It let me pretend I was still choosing slowly. At 10:16, Samir asked if I was ready to leave soon. He had my coat over his arm. He had found my phone charger in the cloakroom because I had left it there after the speech. He told me Amina had texted him to ask how the event was going. His sister always asked him things directly. She had never trusted charm if it arrived without a reason. I said I still needed to speak to Beatrice. That was half true. Beatrice was near the lifts, but she was already putting on her gloves. Raphael's message came while Samir stood in front of me. It said Suite 1114 had the better view after the crowd thinned. I read it once, then pressed the screen dark. Samir saw the movement. His eyes did not sharpen. That was worse. He asked, specific and factual, why Raphael was sending me a room number after midnight. I told him he was making a hotel renovation sound like an affair. My voice stayed low enough for no one else to hear, but something in the air changed around us. He said he had not used that word. He said he was asking because I had turned the phone over and because Raphael had once mattered. He said he wanted one honest answer before his mind filled the gap by itself. What he meant was that he was trying not to accuse me. What I heard was that he thought my life required inspection. I told him I was allowed to have history without handing it to him for approval. That sentence made him take one step back. Not far. Just enough that the coat in his arms looked heavier. Amina came by to drop off a scarf Samir had left in her car earlier. She hugged him first, then me. Her eyes moved to my phone, then to Raphael near the bar, then back to my face. She did not say anything. Amina was not silent because she missed things. She was silent when she wanted the room to finish speaking. Maribel touched my elbow and told me not to let husband caution ruin a harmless bit of electricity. She said it softly, almost kindly. Her own divorce had left her with a talent for making danger sound like vitamin air. I told Samir the event was still running. Then I let Raphael guide me toward the lift after Beatrice left, and Owen lowered his camera to check the shots. Inside the lift, Raphael asked if Samir was always that careful. I said Samir cared through lists, schedules, and questions with clean edges. Raphael said careful men often mistook possession for devotion. What I told myself was that Raphael understood the shape of the room I had been living in. Of course, understanding sounds better when it arrives in a dark lift with brass walls. The doors opened on the 11th floor. I stepped out. Downstairs, my husband stood with my coat still over his arm. By morning, Amina had stopped liking my school posts, and Maribel sent only one message saying the night had looked interesting. The gala night smelled of lilies, warm carpet, and expensive air that had been pushed too many times through hotel vents. What I told myself was that I was working. Of course, work had always been the cleanest place to hide from my own choices. 200 guests. One hotel suite. One husband watching from the wrong side of my life. The Meridian Crown Ballroom looked better than the school deserved. There were gold dots on the floor where donors were meant to pause for photographs. The scholarship wall glowed behind glass. Beatrice stood near the front with a champagne flute she barely drank from. Owen moved through the crowd, catching small smiles and careful handshakes. Samir arrived in a dark suit. He had chosen the blue tie I liked, the one I once said made him look calm without looking cold. He told me the room looked beautiful. He said I had done that. He said it quietly with no audience around us. That was exactly the problem, or so I told myself. Raphael appeared near the hotel archway after my welcome speech. He said the presidential suite was finished and that I should see it before the hotel manager locked the upper floor. He said it would help with next year's planning. His words were plain. His eyes were not. Maribel saw him lean closer and raised her brows from across the room. She came to me near the orchids and said the past had good timing. I told her she sounded like a bad novel. She said bad novels sold well because people told the truth in them. Samir asked if Raphael needed me right then. His voice was calm. Too calm for the jealousy I wanted to accuse him of. I told him this was part of the hotel relationship. He said, specific and even, that the hotel relationship did not need me upstairs alone with an ex after 10. What he meant was that there was still time to choose the room we were already in. What I heard was that he wanted me placed where he could see me. I said Raphael had a name and a job, not horns. Maribel laughed once, then stopped when Amina appeared beside Samir. Amina had come because Samir invited her after clinic, and because she never believed family should only arrive after damage. She looked at me without smiling. She asked whether I wanted someone to come upstairs with us if it was a work viewing. That should have been an easy yes. I told her not every room needed a chaperone. The lift ride to the 11th floor was short. Raphael smelled of cedar and hotel soap. He told me the suite had been designed for people who wanted privacy without looking like they needed it. I said that was every donor I knew. He laughed, and the sound fed something sharp in me. Suite 1114 opened into a room of soft lamps, cream walls, and windows full of city lights. A white robe hung near the bathroom door. A champagne tray sat on the low table, untouched. On the bed, the hotel had placed a white keycard sleeve with the room number printed in silver. Raphael said the light was good near the window. He said my school should use this suite for major donor stays. Then he lifted his phone and asked if I wanted proof I still knew how to own a room. I should have said no. Not because a picture is a crime. It is not. But I knew which version of myself I wanted to show and who I wanted to hurt by showing it. I stood by the window with Raphael's jacket over my shoulders. He held the phone too low, the way he used to when we were younger, and he wanted me to look taller. The edge of the bed appeared behind us. The white keycard sleeve sat on the table, visible if someone looked hard enough. I tilted my chin toward the glass. He took the photo. I looked bright in it. Alive, I thought. Chosen, I meant. Raphael asked if I was posting it. His voice changed by half an inch. Not refusal. Measurement. I said it was only a selfie. He smiled but checked the doorway. What I told myself was that I was tired of living like every harmless thing needed permission. Of course, I knew harmless things did not require captions. I posted it with the hotel location tag and a line about freedom looking better above the city. For maybe 5 seconds, nothing happened. The phone sat in my palm. The city blinked behind the glass. Raphael poured water into a tumbler, though he did not drink it. Then reactions began. Maribel sent fire emojis. Owen viewed the story. Beatrice viewed it. A parent from the scholarship committee viewed it. Amina viewed it, and did not react. Downstairs, Samir saw it beside the donor wall. I learned later that Amina was standing next to him. He looked at the screen, then at the ballroom archway, then at the registration table where his gala badge still hung from his jacket pocket. He did not come upstairs. He did not call me. He placed the badge on the table beside a stack of programs and walked outside. When I came down 20 minutes later, the ballroom had shifted. Not loudly. Public rooms rarely punish you with honesty. They change their posture. Beatrice spoke to someone with her back half turned. Owen lowered his camera when I passed. Maribel was still near the bar, but her smile had lost its shine. Samir stood in the side corridor, holding my coat now folded over one arm. He asked whether the picture was meant for him or for everyone else. Quiet debrief. No raised voice. No scene. I told him that if he saw betrayal in a photograph, maybe he should ask why the photograph scared him. He looked at me for a long second, and the long second made me crueler. I said he had made me feel like a scheduled responsibility, and someone else had simply remembered I was a woman. He did not answer fast enough. I used that silence as proof. Amina stepped beside him and asked if I heard myself. I told her not to turn a gala into a family committee. That was the first crack in my performance. My fingers were shaking around the phone, so I put it in my clutch and held the clasp too tightly. No one said anything about my hand. That almost made it worse. Maribel came over and said maybe I should take the story down before people made it heavy. She did not sound thrilled anymore. She sounded like someone who had helped light a candle and now saw curtains nearby. I told her people were allowed to misunderstand freedom. 2 lamps, 1 tag, too many witnesses. By midnight, the selfie had more reactions than any school post I had ever made, and none of them felt like applause. Amina's townhouse smelled of lemon cleaner and cardamom tea. What I told myself was that she had invited us there to hold court. Of course, people who called it concern always chose rooms where they had the better chair. 2 blue mugs, 1 folded napkin. No judge, I told myself. Samir sat beside the window with his hands around a mug he had not lifted. Amina moved through the small kitchen without hurry. Her townhouse was narrow and warm, with children's drawings from her neighbour's kids pinned to the fridge because she helped them after school. That was Amina. She collected other people's vulnerable things and guarded them like doors. She said the selfie made Samir look like a man being replaced in public. She did not raise her voice. She did not call me names. That made it harder to turn her into the villain. I told her Raphael was an old boyfriend and a hotel contact. I said the internet had made everyone stupid about images. I said Samir's family had always been ready to call my confidence cruelty. Amina set the spoon down. She asked if confidence needed another man's jacket on my shoulders in a hotel suite. Samir closed his eyes for 1 second. That small movement annoyed me because it looked like pain and patience at once. I wanted him to choose one. Pain I could dismiss as drama. Patience I could call control. Both together left me without a clean weapon. He said it was not only the photograph. He said it was the late messages, the turned phone, the way I made him ask permission to be hurt. He said I kept turning his questions into chains so I never had to answer them. Naming the pattern, the accumulation, not one incident. What he meant was that he was tired of being made unreasonable for noticing reality. What I heard was a file being built inside his head. I told him he loved patterns because patterns did not talk back. Amina's face changed then. Not anger. Storage. She was keeping that sentence somewhere. After tea, Samir drove us home. The car heater blew dry air over my knees. He did not play music. I watched the city slide past and told myself silence was his favourite punishment. At home, the apartment looked too neat. His shoes were straight by the door. My admissions folders were stacked on the side table. The white hotel keycard sleeve from our first seaside trip lay on the desk where I had left it after the open house. He picked it up. For a second, I thought he would throw it away. That would have been easier. A thrown object gives you a scene. Instead, he opened the drawer, took out the small empty frame we had bought for a photo we never printed, and slid the sleeve inside it. The sleeve did not fit well. One corner bent. He adjusted it with his thumb, carefully, as if cheap paper could still deserve care. He placed the frame on the shelf near the old sugar packets from one of our winter trips. That was the door opening. Not guilt. Not apology. Something plainer. I saw him at 29 laughing in a hotel lobby with a paper cup of bad coffee. I saw him reading my admissions notes in bed because he wanted to understand the work that ate my evenings. I saw him standing near the donor wall, not as a man trying to own me, but as a man realizing there was no private place left for his hurt. The white sleeve sat behind glass. A room we once shared had become something he had to preserve from me. My hand moved toward him, not far. Enough that I saw it happen. Then my phone buzzed. Raphael had sent a message saying I looked alive in that picture. I read it while Samir stood by the shelf. He saw my thumb move. He saw my face change. I told myself sadness was another way men asked women to shrink. I told myself Samir's silence was a frame too, something meant to hold me in place. I answered Raphael. I wrote that someone had finally noticed. Door closed. The next day, Beatrice asked her assistant to handle all donor communication with me copied, not leading. That had never happened before. At school, Maribel came into my office with coffee and asked if things were calmer. She meant safer for her, not better for me. When I told her Amina had staged a family hearing, Maribel said sisters could be intense. No joke followed. 2 calls, 1 unread staff message, no easy laugh. That evening, Samir sat on the edge of the guest bed and said he wanted to talk about what happened without Raphael, without Amina, without my posts. His voice was tired in a way I did not like. It did not invite battle. I changed tactic. I sat beside him and used a softer tone. I said maybe the caption had landed badly. I said maybe I had been careless with the audience. I said I understood why the picture hurt. It sounded like an apology if you did not look at it directly. He asked if I understood why I had wanted him to see it. That question made the softness leave my body. I told him he was turning my loneliness into evidence. I said he was more interested in clean explanations than in the fact that his wife had been disappearing beside him. For once, he did not defend himself. He said he had failed there. He said clinic hours, patient notes, his own fear of saying the wrong thing had made him useful when I needed him visible. He said he knew that now. He handed me a truth and I used it badly. I said knowing it now was convenient because another man had already shown him the cost. Samir stood. Not quickly. He moved like a person getting up from a place he had sat too long. He went to the study and lifted the shared document box from under the desk. It had bank folders, apartment papers, tax files, passports, old receipts, and the thin envelope where we kept spare keys. He carried it to the guest room. I told myself he was organizing because organization was his native language. Of course I told myself that. It meant I did not have to name what he had stopped doing. He did not argue again that night. The sound of the guest room door closing was small, but after it, the walls felt different. The corridor outside Suite 1114 smelled of carpet powder and the white flowers the hotel kept replacing before they had time to die. What I told myself was that returning there made the story mine again. Of course, people go back to rooms when they want proof that the room did not defeat them. 2 lifts, 1 old boyfriend waiting somewhere above, 1 husband asking for the lobby. Samir had texted that he would meet me downstairs. He said he did not want to talk outside the suite. That irritated me before I arrived. It sounded like he was trying to choose the stage after I had already chosen the lighting. The Meridian Crown lobby was busy with a breakfast conference. Name badges flashed on lanyards. A hotel manager moved past with a tablet. Beatrice stood near the tea station speaking to a man from the school board, and when she saw me, her smile arrived late. Samir waited near the service corridor wearing his work coat. No tie. No performance. He looked tired and clean, like he had washed his face more than once before coming. He said he would talk once. He said if I took the post down, told the whole truth about Raphael, and stopped calling his hurt control, we could sit with someone neutral and speak properly. 1 real offer, not repeated. What he meant was that there was still 1 door. What I heard was that he had turned our marriage into a room where I had to confess before entering. I told him I was tired of being managed by conditions. He said he was not managing me. He said he was choosing what he would stand inside. Raphael texted while Samir was speaking. He said he was upstairs, but the lobby looked too visible. He asked if Samir had brought anyone. He asked if his name had come up. That should have made something plain. Raphael did not ask if I was all right. He asked how close the fire was to his shoes. I did not answer him yet. Instead, I gave Samir the sentence I knew he could not cut down. I told him he had made our marriage feel like a well-run waiting room where no one looked up when I walked in. The sentence landed because it was true. The lobby noise seemed to move away from us. A suitcase wheel clicked over tile. Someone laughed near the lifts. Samir looked at the floor, then back at me. His face did not protect him fast enough. He said I was right. He said he had confused care with presence. He said he had made things easy when I wanted to feel wanted. He said that failure belonged to him. For a few seconds, I had the cruel comfort of being accurate. Then he said his failure did not put me in Raphael's hotel room. His failure did not write the caption. His failure did not make me edit it after I knew he had seen it. That was where I should have stopped. A better person might have let the true accusation be enough, and then faced the rest. I was not that person in that corridor. I told him he wanted the sadness without the bill. I said he wanted to admit failure only after another man had made it visible. I said if he had looked up earlier, he would not hate the view now. His mouth changed. Not anger. Decision. He said he would handle things properly. No legal words, no threats, no raised voice. The tone did all the work. I laughed once because the quiet scared me, and I needed it to look smaller. I told him he was always most comfortable when life became paperwork. That sentence should have embarrassed me. It did not. Not then. I walked past him toward the lift. He did not follow. In the mirrored doors, I saw him behind me, still near the service corridor, hands at his sides, not reaching. Upstairs, Raphael opened the suite door only halfway. He had no drink in his hand, no jacket ready for my shoulders, no grand old flame smile. He looked past me before he looked at me. He asked what Samir had said. He asked if anyone had seen me come up. He said maybe we should cool the public side of things for a few days because people at the hotel talked. What I told myself was that he was cautious because the stakes were real now. Of course, caution looks like care if you want it badly enough. I told him Samir had given me conditions. Raphael said conditions were heavy. Then he asked if I planned to remove the post. I opened my phone. The hotel selfie was still there. My face, Raphael's jacket, the city behind us, the edge of the bed, the little white keycard sleeve near the lamp. It looked less romantic than it had upstairs that first night. It looked staged by someone who wanted a witness. I edited the caption. I changed it to say freedom was not a crime. Raphael did not smile when he saw it. He rubbed his thumb along the side of his phone and said that was a strong choice. Strong, not good. Strong, not brave. Strong the way people describe bad weather from behind glass. Maribel was my next reach. She had been there for the jokes, the lunches, the little comments that made the first bad choices feel like personality. I sent her a screenshot of the new caption. Then I sent that Samir was acting like one photo could erase 7 years. Then I sent that I needed her to tell me I was not insane. The last message marked read and stayed there. No explanation, no joke, no flame emoji. The absence was small on the screen and too large in my hand. Raphael walked to the window and said he could not be the reason my marriage collapsed. I told him he had enjoyed the view when it was private. He said that was unfair. He said we were adults. He said nobody wanted a scene. Nobody wanted a scene after I had built one and invited everyone to watch. Downstairs, Samir had already left. I knew because Amina texted once. She said he was with her and that I should stop trying to make pain look like insecurity. I typed 4 answers and deleted them all. Then I blocked her for 6 minutes, unblocked her, and did not write back. Raphael said he had an early call. He said I could stay in the room for a bit if I needed to calm down, but he had to go downstairs separately. Separately. That word arrived with shoes on. I told him I was fine. Of course I did. That night when I came home, the apartment lights were on, but Samir was not in the living room. The shared document box was gone from the guest room floor. The white-framed keycard sleeve was also gone from the shelf. In its place was a square of dust where the frame had been. 2 empty spaces. 1 quiet apartment. No husband asking another question. Monday morning, the Meridian Crown lobby smelled of orange blossom and coffee grounds. What I told myself was that Raphael and I needed to align stories before the school board breakfast made gossip official. Of course, align sounded better than hide. 2 suitcases near the concierge desk. 1 service corridor. My name spoken by a stranger. Raphael had told me he would come down. At 9:12, he messaged that the lobby was too visible and that I should wait near the side hallway. At 9:14, a woman in a grey coat asked if I was Cressida Vale. She held a large cream envelope and a clipboard. Beatrice was 10 steps away, waiting beside the tea station with Mrs. Keane, the hotel manager. Beatrice heard my name. Her gloved hand paused over her cup. I signed because refusing would have made a louder shape. The pen felt dry. I pressed too hard and tore the paper under my last letter. The woman handed me the envelope and said I had been served at 9:16 a.m. Inside was a petition for dissolution of marriage with motion for temporary exclusive possession of the marital residence and temporary financial restraining orders. The first temporary orders hearing was listed for June 24, 2026, County Family Court, 9:30 a.m. I read the first page twice. Then I closed the folder and held it against my coat like an admissions packet. The evidence list named the hotel selfie, the edited caption, the location tag, Raphael's jacket, Amina's screenshots, Owen's gala timeline, and the hotel booking confirmation for Suite 1114. No miracle, no trap. Just the things I had made easy to collect. Samir had reposted my public selfie beside a redacted first page of the petition. His caption said that I had asked for freedom, and he had believed me. I tried to tell Mrs. Keane this was a private marriage issue. She looked at the envelope, then at me, and said the hotel could only discuss guest privacy through formal channels. Not cruel, not kind, just true. Raphael deleted the selfie, removed his tag, and sent one message saying he could not be named in this. I moved into a short-term rental above a florist with 2 suitcases, 1 school blazer, and no spare key waiting in a bowl. The temporary financial order froze major joint withdrawals until the June hearing, so every purchase became something I had to explain to myself first. Amina blocked me, Beatrice became formally polite, and Maribel stopped replying outside work hours. Raphael sent a written statement calling the hotel's selfie misjudged nostalgia and not a commitment. The school removed me from family-facing admissions tours after parents began asking about the hotel story. What I told myself was that the selfie proved I still belonged to myself. Of course, I called it freedom because freedom sounded better than hunger. But the post did not give me a life outside my marriage. It gave everyone a clean window into the worst part of me. The white hotel keycard sleeve stayed in the evidence folder, flat and ordinary. I got the room with the view and no one came upstairs.